Well, hello, everyone. I'm back. It's been a week since you saw me after we got taken off the air in the middle of the Hitler went to hell stream. And yes, I will be posting the full video of that conversation in the coming days because I got a stupid strike on YouTube. And the reason that I got a strike on YouTube was because YouTube did not like a stream that I did calling for people who leave the Democratic Party to not join the alt-right. I never thought I would see the day when YouTube would actually be defending the alt-right, but that's what it was. So I've been offline for a week. I'm sure I'm shadow banned to high heaven on YouTube, but we're going to get this party started anyway. We have got a great conversation today. It is going to be the first in my new Libertarian Matters series, which is basically going to be code for anytime you see Libertarian Matters, guess what, guys? It's going to be a libertarian topic. And if you like libertarian topics, then that's going to be great for you. If you don't like libertarian topics, you can come back to the channel another time for some of my other content. And I've got a great libertarian today who I'm going to bring on and introduce you to in a second. But I just wanted to let you know a couple of things before we get started. Number one, now I was supposed to premiere part 2 and 3 of my reaction to Lauren Southern's video last week. Sadly, because I got a stupid bogus strike on YouTube, I was unable to do that. Now, I did actually premiere them ahead of time in my locals community. So if you were a member at kb.locals.com, whether you were a free member or a paid member, you actually probably already have seen these. But just to get this content back up on the channel now that the strike has been lifted, I will be premiering part 2 of my reaction today at 9 p.m. And I think I'm going to be premiering the third part tomorrow at 9 p.m. Just keep an eye on the channel. I will announce it and let you know. I have another stream coming up tomorrow as well that I'm kind of scheduling around. We are also, in addition to this chat we're going to have with Ben here today, I have another Libertarian Matters podcast coming up tomorrow. This one's going to be at 5:30. So not our usual 5 p.m. start time, just a little bit pushed back because of his schedule. And our second Libertarian Matters conversation is going to be with Mr. Dave Benner. And he is one of the people that is currently running the National Libertarian Party Twitter account. And if you have been paying attention to the National Libertarian Party Twitter account since the Reno Reset takeover, you will know that it is light years better than it was before. So we're going to talk to the man behind the account. We're going to talk to him about his philosophy around the account, what they're trying to do with it, what the goal is, and why they're just so much better than the last people that ran it. He's a great guy. I'm looking forward to a great chat tomorrow at 5:30. So we're going to do this premiere tonight at 9 p.m. We're going to do this tomorrow at 5:30 live. And then I will probably be premiering the second part, or the third part rather, of my Lauren Southern reaction video tomorrow evening, just to get caught up on content. I've also got a whole bunch of stuff that needs to get uploaded to the channel. This is what happens when I get a strike. I end up with a lot of stuff that I need to recover. But guys, please mount that like button if you're happy we're back. And of course, if you would like to support the work I'm doing, please make sure you become a member in my locals community. My locals actually knew where I was for the last week, right? Because when I get a strike on YouTube, I can't post a comment. I can't post a post saying I can't upload at all. But if you're in my locals and you can join for free at kb.locals.com, you're going to be able to get that information. But if you do want to keep the channel running, support the work I'm doing, and get access to all sorts of exclusive perks, you can head over to kb.locals.com/support and you can join for $5 a month or more if you want to. You can also join for $50 a year. You can also make a one-time gift. All of that's going to get you full access to all of the features that I have in locals. And it's also going to get you access to the community Zoom calls that we do twice a week and all sorts of amazing perks. Thank you, Nurtu, for the super chat. Can't wait to watch this. In other news, Biden has cancer. You know, Joe Biden has a new gaffe on every single day, doesn't he? So we won't talk about, I don't want to talk about Biden right now. Biden makes me very upset. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to bring on my amazing guest. We have Ben Weir with us today. Ben is running for sheriff in New Hampshire. He is a recent move to the state. He came from the state of California, and he is a refugee in the Free State Project. And so we're going to talk about the Free State Project. We're going to talk about why he came here. We're going to talk about his issues and concerns about policing and what he will do as sheriff. And we might even talk about emo music because he is the founder of the Libertarian Party Emo Caucus. Ben Weir, welcome to the channel. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing very well. Also, I saw the little thing pop up. Biden has cancer, but Biden is cancer. So that makes sense that he would have cancer.
I would definitely agree with that. And thank God we are in. Oh, we lost your camera, Ben. What happened?
Can you still hear
I can
me
hear
though?
I can hear you. I can hear you. But what is going on? You have to understand, Ben. I have a lot of gay men who watch my channel, and they're really only. Oh, we lost him. No! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Hopefully Ben comes back. Oh no! Of course this has to happen on the first stream back. You know, Ben's in a hotel right now, so I know things might be a little sketch with the Wi-Fi. But yes, John Morgan, I told you. I told you. I deliver, man. I deliver. Okay, Ben has dropped out of the studio. We're gonna wait for a second for him to come back. But I told you, I was telling people, this is why you want to come to my locals community Zooms, because I was telling them today, I was like, he's really, really cute. So Ben, we've decided that you're really handsome while you've been gone.
Oh,
The game
thanks.
channel are already a fan.
Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm back. Sorry about the shitty hotel Wi-Fi.
That's all good,
Yeah,
man.
but I have this really cool picture of a tiger behind me.
That's pretty rad. You should put
That's
that on
like
a t-shirt.
not typical hotel design. So I actually really appreciate it.
I would really appreciate that as well. That's definitely not your typical landscape video. So Ben, how did you make it out to New Hampshire from the savage land of California?
So I I lived in California for over 4 years. I'm not like from California. I lived there
Mhm.
for work because the money was good. And then I came to this point where I was like, um, sure, the money's okay, but you're getting taxed like up the ass. Like almost all your money goes to taxes, right? And then like you're still paying astronomical high rent. Your gas prices are higher than like every other state ever. So, we like I came to this like thought I was like, I actually have always loved New Hampshire. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. I also lived in Colorado for a while, but um, the snow and like the cold weather that scares people away. Like it's not something that scares me. It's actually not even that bad. Today it was like 90 degrees here, but
I keep telling people the winters are like not as bad as people think they are they?
they're not. I mean, I haven't survived the whole winter here yet. I got here towards the end of it, um, but yeah. So I was, trying to find a way out. I was sick and tired of like my gun rights being taken away and encroached upon because I've shot competition since I was like 5 years old. I love guns. It's like just been part of my life. It's just a tool that I use to have fun with. It's a hobby, and I was even in the infantry. I went into the army, and ever since I got out, I love guns. I love hunting. I love outdoor stuff. It's kind of one of my things. And California is like the worst state to live in if you want to own an AR-15. So, um, I was like, I need to get my gun rights back. I need to pay less taxes. And I need to be in like a more beautiful state that's not burning up every year because of a drought. Like last year, they lost like 2 million acres to wildfires, and it's just like progressively like getting worse every single year because they just like have horrible water management. Like the reservoirs are empty, like everything is just like messed up. Like this is like all beside the politics. We all know the politics in California is absolutely like abysmal, horrible. There's absolutely no hope to save California's politics
Mm-hmm.
unless they break up into smaller states or have like a state split and secede or something like that. That's like the only chance California would ever have outside of the empire completely crumbling and dismantling the whole government. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually think California is kind of fascinating to watch, and I kind of feel the same with Vermont, because Vermont is even like a more controlled like concentration of like absolute lunatics when it comes to like, I mean, they're basically communists. It's really ridiculous, but I think it's interesting and informative to watch like what happens in that type of society. But I bet it's is it easier for you now that you've lived in New Hampshire and you're like I'm just like in a really different place than I was then? How is it different for you?
this is like home. This is everything I ever wanted. Like I'm a libertarian, but like even on the side of that, like I'm an anarcho-capitalist. So like I don't even really think the government should exist at all in a perfect society. Like
Mhm.
we there's free market solutions to everything. Um, so like I get here and I'm like I have a house. Like the community of libertarians and people who want freedom. It's just everywhere. Like you just throw a rock and you're gonna hit another libertarian, right? So that's like that's the saying out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I it's been life changing and very eye opening. I actually didn't think it would be as awesome. I knew it was gonna be awesome, but like I didn't know it was gonna be like this awesome. So like I'm a huge advocate for the Free State Project. Like wherever you're at, like in whatever state, country, like New Hampshire is where liberty is winning, and it is we're gonna keep winning, and like we're gonna be our own country someday. Like this is like it's gonna happen. Like this is the freest state in the entire United States, and it's getting freer every single day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely. Incognito says, not a crayon eater is a plus. JK, LOL. Thank you, Incognito, for that. So, like, how did you become a libertarian? How were you introduced to these ideas?
Okay, well, I was like actually like a kind of like a punk in high school. I was like just straight anarchist, like the government shouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like came from a very strict conservative family, and they turned me off to that whole thing. I mean, I've always been very like, as libertarians say, socially liberal but fiscally conservative.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was like 15, 16, I was like true anarchist, like black pilled, like nothing's gonna work. The government sucks. Like it shouldn't exist. And then going into college, I was reading actually like Rothbard, Hayek, like amazing economists like that. And while some of them don't even consider themselves to be like ANCAPs, I kind of like I found like Ron Paul. Um, I That's when I got kind of rooted into anarcho-capitalism, which is like kind of like the perfect form to me of libertarianism. So like you know the liberty movement has minarchists, anarchists, all of the above, right? But the way I kind of view things is like we can talk about minarchy versus anarchy when we get to that point where we don't have minarchy or even anything close to it. The bureaucracy is so huge right now. There's like millions of government employees. Like the fiscal budget is just astronomical. You know what I mean? And like I am like as much as I want to live in Ancapistan, it's not a current present reality. And I'm willing to have those conversations down the road. Right now, I just want to push this a little bit closer, get back to where we were in like 1776, for instance, and where it turns out the founding fathers had a good idea of what, if we have to have a government, what it should look like in the Constitution. So like I'm definitely like a advocate for the Constitution, and while I don't believe it is a necessarily perfect document, that's kind of where I base a lot of my opinions on, like the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the 10th Amendment, Article 1, Section 8, when it comes to like sending troops to war, stuff like that. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, I agree with you. And people like this is like a conversation I had to have with myself too when I started getting into all this. I was like, where am I on the spectrum? And I kind of came to the conclusion that it honestly didn't really matter because we were so far away from we were so far away from like minarchy that it was like, why are we even having this discussion or debate right now? And the position I've kind of taken on it is that we need like I Dennis got me to a point where I started calling myself like an anarcho-capitalist at PorkFest. He explained explicitly the differences to me. I think, okay, I think I'm that. I think that that's the one that makes the most sense to me, like as an idealized state. But it's also like I think that that's something that we need to argue for because inevitably, like we're not going to get there in our lifetimes. Like we need to be realistic about it. Like that's not going to happen. But if we argue for that point that's way over here, we might get closer than if we argued for like minarchy And,
Right.
you know, so I just think it just from a practical perspective, it makes sense to argue it, even if it's not, I don't know if it's a realistically doable thing in our lifetime, but hey, dare to dream. Maybe we can get some, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we really can. I don't know.
With the way the U.S. government is like, it's like just like going down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just looks like it's going to implode at any moment. Bitcoin is becoming more popular by the day. Um, our fiat currency is dropping every day. There's like less food on the shelves. Like when people can't feed their babies, there's going to be problems and fighting in the streets. There's already fighting in the streets. And it's getting progressively worse every single year. Every summer, there's like a new riot trend that's going around, completely opposite partisan sides too. So um, I I think the only way it would be possible for is for the whole thing to just collapse in on itself. And like that might sound doom and gloom, but to me that is completely like the most white pilled thing that could ever happen. Because I know at least here in New Hampshire, we have a community, and like I know for at least for me, like I'm good. Like I'm gonna be okay if that happens. I will be able to survive, and I think we all will. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've been saying exactly the same thing. I'm like, you guys can screw around like all you want. I'm going to be fine in New Hampshire, and I really have no concerns about that at all. And I've gotten very accelerationist lately, where I'm like on this whole bend of like, let's sabotage the Republicans as much as we can, because that means the Democrats will stay in power, and inevitably that will collapse the government faster than if the Republicans were like doing there's like, you know, what like progressives driving the speed limit thing, where they're going to collapse the government eventually too, but it's going to be a little bit slower. So why don't we just embrace the acceleration and just push for that? And that's where I'm
Right.
at right now.
Right. Right. No,
And I think
yeah,
that's a good thing, even though I piss off a lot of Republicans when I say it.
I I don't like align perfectly with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So even other anarcho-capitalists. But at the end of the day, I do agree with you. I think that there is one side in particular that is accelerating the downfall of the country, and I'm obviously biased with that, but
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? More power to him. Well, Benjamin Elliott has an interesting question that I would like us to ponder. And he says, if you could pick the first department to eliminate, education, FBI, Homeland Security, or other, which would it be? For me, it would be the Department of Education if I had to choose. But Ben, what do you think?
Homeland Security, because they encroach on, they're like able to spy on you, like ever since the whatever, the shit that went down, like obviously like all the surveillance stuff that's going on, like literally like they're tapped into every single piece of technology that we have. um, and on a more broad scale, like they do everything in the name of security. um, so like like this obviously affects the entire world. It's not just our country or our communities. Like our homeland security is like single-handedly, um, like they're spying on everybody. Like
Mm-hmm.
99.999 infinity percent of the information they're collecting is absolutely nothing to do with security or keeping anybody safe. They're 110% just like spying on us and collecting data to use against us. There's absolutely no other reason for it. And if you go try to get that data from them, they will label you a terrorist, and you won't be able to get it. And you'll probably have to like live in freaking Russia or something like that, where and hide from the United States and Russia or something, because that's like I think when it comes to like the surveillance state, it's probably like one of the biggest crises that's overlooked
Mm-hmm.
by even like libertarians. We have like Julian Assange and stuff like that, but he's not like a libertarian. He's just a
No.
guy that was speaking up. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, when you moved to New Hampshire not that long ago, and you recently got elected to be the chair of the Merrimack Valley Libertarian Party, which is the county affiliate that I am a part of as well. And what are your plans for our county affiliate?
So it's existed for, I want to say like 5-6 years, something like that. It was kind of like it was established by people that were in the LP that don't really align with a lot of libertarian values, in my opinion.
They who shall not be named.
They who shall not be named, exactly. So, sorry if you hear lots of talking. It's a hotel.
That's okay.
But so they started in. Hey guys, what's up? 5 or 6, years ago, and then kind of just did nothing. Like that, it hasn't really done anything. Last year, it did get taken over by the Mises Caucus, and that's like freaking awesome. But like in my opinion, in the same way that like we took over the party, I feel like if you take something over and nothing happens with it, there's like really no point. It kind of is just going to fall apart again. And like you can only do so much with the resources you have. So now I'm in a spot where I can focus on this, and the people that are surrounding me in the Merrimack Valley Libertarian Party, like Conrad and Monica and Ryan, and Jeremy, those guys are my ex-com, and they, like we all work together really well. We talk, and at this point, we're trying to find a way to kind of grow our membership, but we serve as a complement to the state party, Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. So our ultimate goal is to like grow LPNH as much as we can, find as many people in Manchester and Concord. There's no reason why New Hampshire shouldn't have one of the highest amounts of official Libertarian Party members in comparison to the rest of the country. Like, there's really not. Like, we should have some of the highest numbers. Yeah. So kind of like trying to collect some data, organize. I'd really like to table some like gun shows and like fairs, stuff like that. Just some little stuff that's kind of been overlooked and not even maybe even considered because technology's everything now. But what I've noticed all across the country is people are only doing libertarian stuff on Facebook and on Telegram or Discord and Signal, where it's like, like we have actual people to interact with. And I would like to move past the echo chamber, because we all have we might have different opinions, but they're all the same things that keep getting stirred up in the Libertarian Party. We need to go out and meet people where they're at, and figure out what is driving them, what they care about, and offer them the libertarian solution. And that's like my goal is to increase awareness of the Libertarian Party and what we stand for, but also like get membership growth and have events where all the libertarians can get together and just have enjoy the community of other liberty lovers, essentially. So
No, I mean, one of the things that I've noticed lately, and I've brainstormed this a couple times with members in my locals community, where because everything is taking place so much online now, what we think is that actually going back to kind of old school tactics, actually doing pamphlets, paper pamphlets, and just handing out flyers and things like that is much more effective in terms of reaching people. Because if you get a paper flyer, that actually stands out now amongst all the digital noise because it's something tactile that you can hold. So I think setting up a table at a gun show is a great way to do it.
And gun shows, people at gun shows, they almost exclusively are Republicans. And you're going there and you have to give them the facts. The truth is the Republican Party has, with the exception of very few people, have done nothing but negotiate the gun rights away over the last, since the Second Amendment was started. You know what I mean? So, you have the NRA, which is basically just a Republican gun organization. They're literally negotiating with Congress, saying oh, you can't have all of this, but we'll give you this. The thing is the Second Amendment, you can't give them an inch. They don't deserve an inch. They don't get an inch. There's no special disclosure with the Second Amendment. We have the right to bear arms to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. It has nothing to do with hunting. I use guns for hunting. But like people are like, oh, why do you need an AR-15? You can just use a shotgun to hunt. It has nothing to do with hunting.
Because AR-15s are fun.
That absolutely, you know what I mean. But right now, in Congress, there's actually like a bill, HR 1808. It got started talked about like this week actually. There's 210 Democrats that are co-sponsoring it, so basically all of them. And it's the assault weapons ban. They're just trying to like flat out ban all what they call assault weapons. And it's just like, it's crazy to me because California, while they have very strict restrictions on guns and like AR-15s specifically, there's like a million ways to get out of the rule because they have very like, they think that they're like specific and strict definitions, but like for instance, you can't have a flash hider on your AR, but you can have a muzzle brake. You can't have a vertical foregrip, but you can have an angled foregrip. And they're trying to push this whole like bullet button thing where you have to actually break apart your upper and lower receiver to just change out your magazine. Like you don't need to do that. There's like ways to get around that too. But like getting back to what I was saying, gun shows are a perfect way to get out there and let people know that libertarians are the best on that issue. Like there's no contest. Like our stance on guns is literally the Second Amendment as written. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. You know what I mean? So we don't think the ATF should exist. And there's absolutely no regulation on purchase, sale, or whatever of firearms. So
now, since you've moved to New Hampshire, have you noticed more people like open carrying here than you might have seen in California?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm one of them. Like I've had to kind of like walk around for the last like 4 or 5 years with, not allowed to have a gun open in public or even like conceal without a permit. Here it's constitutional carry, so you can, do whatever you want. Like you could walk around with the AR-15 strapped to your back if you really wanted to. But there's definitely a lot more people that walk around open carrying. And to me, like, it just makes me feel like I'm at home. Like you can't just like walk in somewhere with a bunch of dudes carrying, open carrying and like not feel safer. Like I just like anyone who doesn't feel safer probably just like brainwashed by the media and they just believe all their scare tactics, right? So.
Well, yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a mass shooting here in when was the last time there was like a mass shooting here? I don't think, not anytime recently.
I mean, and if there was, it was probably like, I mean, it's probably the government doing the shooting.
It probably was. You're probably right about that. I mean,
in terms of like the police or whatever,
Yeah, Kevin from the internet says never, so we'll have to trust Kevin on that one. No,
Kevin's awesome.
I love Kevin. I love Kevin's outfits. He has the best coordinated outfits. But like I love open carrying. Like I'm not a gun person at all, but I love like seeing people open carry, and I want to get. Victor's been like annoying me to get my own gun, and I keep saying I'm going to because I want to open carry, not necessarily because like I'm a gun person, but because I like making progressives nervous. And I feel like the more uncomfortable we can make progressives, the better off for us.
Like I've been going out and collecting signatures for my own campaign, and I open carry the whole time. Some people are like, like they're like, no, I'm not gonna talk to you while you're carrying that thing. But then like I'd say probably a good like 90% of them are signing my petitions and they're like, yeah, like, oh, what are you carrying today? You know what I mean? They're like super, super cool. And I actually think it kind of like attracts people more than it takes them away. But like the people who like it's taken away, I don't need their signature anyway. Like honestly, those people can just move to Massachusetts or I don't want to say California because they don't need any more problems than they already have, but maybe California.
It's like a filtering mechanism. It's like if you're petitioning outside the supermarket and there's like a Democrat wearing a mask or something, they're probably not going to sign the petition, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny. Like those people, like when I'm talking to them, I'm like, I mean, we haven't even like talked yet about like my campaign stuff at all, but I
We're
guess
going
this is
to.
kind of like,
Well,
okay.
let's talk about it. You're running for sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
With the
That's me.
slogan "Deputize everyone." You got a beautiful website. Tell us about your run for sheriff, because this wasn't exactly like a plan. This just kind of happened, right?
Yeah, it was like kind of the filing deadline was here, and I was thinking like it was Wednesday. The filing deadline was Friday. I like asked a couple people like, hey, should like we have somebody on the site? I would be willing to do it. It's $10 to file, and I need 150 signatures. And as of right now, it's only the incumbent, the Democrat incumbent, that's running. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. So I got all my stuff together, went in on Friday, turned in my paperwork. And even at the end of the filing deadline on that Friday, I was the only guy going against the Democrat candidate for sheriff. Obviously, the GOP, they have ballot access here. So there's so many loopholes. They have already been posting signs up with a candidate on their side, but definitely like wasn't originally planned. But my goal, even for Merrimack Valley Libertarian Party, is I'd like to see more people running for office and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to lead by example. I want to show them like, hey, anybody can do this. I have absolutely zero experience. My posts have been getting like a lot of traction. It's been good because people are refreshed to hear that there's a sheriff out there that or someone running for sheriff that's willing to stand up against the regime that's there. Like protect their freedom of speech, their gun rights, not arrest them for not masking at a school board meeting or at a public library, or a town hall meeting. There's so many different cases where this stuff has been happening in New Hampshire that it's just refreshing for people to hear that. And uh, there's other issues outside of that. Like for me, I'm running as a constitutional sheriff. I'm telling people like, hey, any law that is above and beyond the Constitution, um, I basically wouldn't enforce it. I would tell my people not to enforce it at all. Um, and if the ATF wanted to come raid somebody's house, I would meet them at the border and tell them to kick rocks. You know what I mean? So um, there's not enough people with the ability to like take that stand. And like, wow, like I hope I win. We'll see. We'll see what happens in November. Um, I think that this, at the very least, will encourage more people to take a stand up against that, um, against the state and the bureaucracy that is the law enforcement community, um, because like let's be real, like what happened over the last 2 years, they did exactly what the government told them to do. They did not, for the most part, military and police, they did not stand for their own opinions. They did what they were told to do. And that's not going to stop anytime soon. Their pensions and their money and their careers are at stake by going up against that stuff. And that's honestly, that's their fault for getting it in the first place. You got to fault them for that. But there were very few people that were actually like standing up against, like the vax mandates and not enforcing mask policies, or even like when it came to like protecting people's private property, like they were just like, oh, just hands off, not going to do the job. Like that's like the only job they really should have is, if they have to exist, you know what I mean, is like, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff, just make sure those two things aren't happening. That's like, if they have to exist, if we have to pay taxes, that's what they should be doing. Instead, like the United States government is literally the world monopoly on violence, and it's largely because of the police force. So
Sin asks, how much power does a sheriff have in New Hampshire? The sheriff in Western states have a lot of power.
So I've been going through this a lot. There's a lot of like misunderstandings about what a sheriff can and can't do. However, I'm going by the traditional definition of sheriff, which I actually wouldn't even have to report to the governor.
Excellent.
So in
Except if
terms
I
of
get elected governor, and then I might have an
right,
issue with that. But no, not really. I don't wouldn't
well,
care. I really wouldn't
if
care.
you're elected, I don't foresee you doing anything that you'll need to be like detained for. So,
Probably
but
not.
in terms of like my county, um, as I said, like I could do exactly what I was just saying, where I don't have to enforce unconstitutional laws. I don't have to allow civil asset forfeiture or no knock warrants. Um, like there's all these, like they could single handedly fix all of the libertarian problems that we have with the law enforcement community. We fix all of it in one guy. Absolutely no legislation required. Just have a guy that's willing to do the right thing. That's it. Simple. And it takes $10 and 150 signatures to get on the ballot to do it. It's nothing.
Have you collected all your signatures yet?
I have 150. I'm going for 300, so that way
Just in case.
some of them are gonna void out. And yeah.
Well, that's smart. It's a lot of work. Renita says New Hampshire's first emo sheriff, and you were also in her documentary for the Free State Project, right?
Yes, I am. Which everyone should check out at freestatedoc.tried.com and .org. Sorry, Renita. I don't know which one it was, but yeah, it's freaking fantastic. There's like a 8-minute trailer up on that website, and they have been like awesome. Like they've got a ton of footage that they're still putting together, because I believe they're coming back out here to film around the election season to kind of see how things go with the election, and interview some other free staters. And man, like the people that they've interviewed on there already are just like incredible people. I'm honestly just like even lucky to be a part of it and be amongst these freaking awesome people. So
no, I mean, I agree. Like, how lucky are we that we get to live here and be in this community? I really do feel really lucky. Like, anytime I'm like at events or anything, I'm like, this is like the best thing. This is like the best accident that has ever happened, because I moved here when I was a Democrat for a job, and I'm like, this is perfect. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. So I have a question based on this. So, okay, you are the founder of the Libertarian Party Emo Caucus.
yeah.
Does your campaign have any sort, like, if your campaign had an emo song as its theme, what would be the song?
Honestly, man, that's like putting me on the spot with just a specific song. I'm just gonna like go with like the most emo song that exists. There's like no other more emo song. It's like the emo song.
Okay.
And that has to be Hawthorne Heights, Ohio is for Lovers. And while that has nothing to do with New Hampshire, like it is like,
or being sheriff
or being sheriff at all, like, like it's, I mean, I could consider that a theme song. I could listen to it every day. It'd be like my, like my Rocky theme song, essentially, to start my day. So.
All right. Well, yeah. Fair enough. Well, on your website for Sheriff, you also have a section about mental health. Can you tell us about like your kind of positions on that? And
sure. Yeah. I think that's actually a big one. Like anytime I have somebody that kind of like, like when people you're trying to get signatures, you can kind of tell what way they lean. Like you had just said, you can kind of tell just by their demeanor and what they're wearing. I'm not trying to judge, but that's just how it is.
You really can. There's an energy. There's an aura.
Yes, and if I sense that they might be more left leaning, I like instantly will talk about mental health, because PTSD is like one of the biggest problems in the law enforcement community, and it's like one of the biggest problems in the military community. I've lost several friends to PTSD issues, and it's something that's just not treated. It's a stigma. It's not talked about. They just kind of want to pretend it doesn't exist. Or if somebody has like some like kind of incident where they like act out, they'll give them like a week off of paid vacation, and then they get their kind of badge back, and they're back out on the streets doing the same thing without actually addressing the issue. It also leads to things that are like it's a huge problem in the law enforcement community of like officers with domestic violence issues. You know what I mean? This is completely tied to mental health, bipolar, type stuff like that. And I do think that that's something very serious that as a community and as like a you know what we're putting our taxes into, essentially, like that should be a huge priority for any sheriff and for any law enforcement officer, is like take care of your mental health. My opinion is like, yeah, I'd love for them to have the best, you know, access to mental health therapy. But I also want them to be able to like treat it how they think is going to be best. Like I know a lot of my military and veteran friends, they've treated PTSD symptoms with cannabis and psilocybin. And it's like psilocybin specifically, microdosing, it has been like a miracle for them. And they are not the same person. Like they literally are completely changed and new. And they're not depressed. They're not acting out in anger, punching walls, and like, you know, they're not, arguing with their spouses and stuff. Literally miracle medicines, and they're completely natural. But the government has a problem with them. So for me, though, I wouldn't have any issue with any officer treating their mental health with psilocybin or cannabis, because I just wouldn't enforce any law that was against it. So that's kind of my stance with that.
No, I agree, and that's one of my positions as governor too. Is I'm not going to dick around anymore with like the Republican Senate, and it is the Republicans who keep blocking this stuff in New Hampshire from being decriminalized or legalized. And we could have the debate about whether or not it should be decriminalized or legalized. And I, to be honest, really don't care at this point, because I think that these are things that are beneficial to people. Like you said, it occurs in nature. I think that it was given to us as a gift for a reason. Like there's no reason to prevent people from using things that are helpful for them, that are not harmful at all. And it's a
Yeah,
shame that the Republicans can't get their act together on this issue.
and marijuana is decriminalized in New Hampshire, but
Yeah.
since its decriminalization, there's still been like thousands of people that have gone to jail for it in New Hampshire.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, it's because they
So
had more
not
than like three
really.
quarters of an ounce. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's like something that just like blows my mind. I'm like, people are going to prison for 5-10 years or more, for a plant that they use recreationally in their basement. Doesn't affect you. They're not, as long as they're not like getting behind the wheel of a car and they get in an accident and they kill somebody. Like, it is absolutely none of anybody's business what people put in their bodies. I feel that exact same way about like vaccines. None of your business what people put in their bodies or what they don't. Like, it's not anyone's business. It's just between them and their doctor, or even just them and themselves. So
Well, Naruto says, "Hey Ben, nice name you have there." His name is also Ben in real life. What would
nice.
you what would you do day one if you were elected as sheriff?
Well, I'm glad you asked. My slogan is #deputize everyone. So my first priority is deputizing as many willing people as possible. Um, what that means is that uh, essentially anybody who is interested in being a deputy, they could come to me, say I want to be deputized, and I'll knight them, or however the whole process goes, swear them in to defend the
Ceremony or something?
Constitution. Yeah. Um, and they'll be able to detain people as in replacement of a cop if some kind of violent act was happening, or their property was getting broken into. Essentially, like, you really, like, at the end of the day, you can't rely on the law enforcement community most of the time in terms of like how quickly they can show up on scene to take care of an issue, or even showing up on scene to like a shooting incident, and them waiting outside for orders while the shooting is going on inside, like in Uvalde. In a situation where, if in Uvalde, for instance, the citizens that were outside with guns that were trying to get inside to save their kids, if they were deputized and any officer had prevented them from going in to try to, take that kid out so they could save their children, um, those officers should have been charged with negligent homicide, ideally, because they're preventing justice from happening. They're preventing an officer from doing their duty too, like not like an officer, but like a deputy. Um, so it gives them a lot of like authority to do those kind of things. And I think that um, in terms of like a community, like we should all be able to rely on each other. We can't always rely on cops. Like they could literally, if they can't swim, they could literally watch you drown. Like and they don't have to save you if you're drowning. So, um, that's kind of, I guess it's kind of controversial, but I don't think it should be. In a perfect society where police don't even have to exist, everybody is the police. So deputizing everyone makes it so that everyone's on an equal playing field, and we're all equally accountable. So
I hadn't even thought about it in terms of like that school shooting where the police just sat back and did nothing. But if like that one mom that they tried to prevent from going in and getting her kids, like if she had been deputized, they wouldn't have been able to really do anything about that.
right. I
Huh.
mean, yeah, and they could have tried, but then they would have been preventing someone from doing their duty. So yeah, that whole situation is just so messed up because there's like 75 officers. Most of them were standing in the hallway. Some of them are like, it's just so crazy how they've repeatedly, like there's a spout where the guy starts shooting kids, and there's someone's yelling through the door like, hey, there's still this many people alive, this is what our body count is. They wait several minutes while the kids start shooting again. After that, they'll say it again. This is how many people are still alive, this is what's going on. They didn't do anything this whole time. They're standing in the hallway with ballistic shields, full battle rattle on, like like the bulletproof vest and all that stuff.
Hmm.
These are the people who you are paying taxes to protect you, and they can't even step up. If you have a fire in your house, right, and they suspect somebody is in one of the rooms, I guarantee you those firefighters are going to try to get to you and try to save whoever's in that room. They are selfless people. I have
Hmm.
so much respect for firefighters. The same thing does not apply to police officers. There's sometimes where obviously they're not all like bad apples, whatever. I mean, to me, they kind of are, but sometimes they'll do the job when they're supposed to, but they're not obligated to do anything. That's my whole point in saying this. They're not obligated to do any of it.
I'm thinking right now to this issue that I'm kind of dealing with in that I'm having to deal with the local police on a matter that I don't want to get into like extensively on the channel, but I'm going to get into it enough to say this. Literally all I needed them to do this week was to make a single phone call. That was it. I had to go to the police station to ask them to make this phone call, and then I had to spend another hour the other day cajoling them to make an effing phone call, and that was it. And it was just like it was a continual argument of like, we don't have the resources to do it. And I was like, you're talking to me on the phone right now, why can't you make this phone call? And it's like, if I had been deputized, then I could have just made the phone call and the whole
There you go.
problem would have been solved, and I wouldn't have had to waste my time trying to hamstring the local police into making the phone call.
Or even Victor. Like if Victor
Yeah.
could have just been like, hey, this is Deputy Victor. I need you to like stop doing this or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or else we're
Exactly.
gonna,
That
yeah.
would have been fantastic. That would have actually been really, really useful for me. Oh gosh. Now I need to find someone to run for sheriff here. Oh my gosh.
We
Um,
should have some. We should honestly, like, as libertarians, since it's like this is like an accessible position, it's like
mhm.
something we can obtain. We should have one in all 10 counties of New Hampshire, and there should be definitely more people trying to run for sheriff across the country. Like, this is hands down like a no-brainer. Like, sorry, Carla.
Do it.
Screw governor, screw the Senate. Like, freaking run for sheriff.
Well,
Just
no,
saying.
you're honestly convincing me. Like, well, I mean, whatever. But like, you're convincing me. I actually think this is a useful position for us to have. I kind of thought, like, I was telling people this morning, I was like, he's running for sheriff, and I don't really know like what power that has or anything. But it was kind of an accident that he started running and like all this stuff. But it's kind of cool because like an office. But I didn't really know that. I didn't really understand your deputize everyone slogan, and now I do, and now I'm actually completely on board with it. I mean,
Sweet.
it's like a backdoor way of like of basically forcing anarchy on the populace by deputizing everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
It kind of
like I
is,
said,
right?
like in my perfect world of Ancapistan, the police would not exist. There would not be a tax to pay for law enforcement. Everybody would be the police in the justice system. Like that's just how it would work. Just because you don't have government does not mean you don't have governance. There's a huge difference. There would still be a lot of order in society. It just wouldn't be something that you have to pay to get. Freedom is free, believe it or not. And like, the only thing that holds us back is this, like, we're in this cage in our minds that, put us inside of their system and their little box. Like, my mind is free. As soon as you start breaking through that and you take the red pill and you get through it, like, there are endless possibilities. And, once you free your mind, you can be a free person. You cannot
Mhm.
be a free person until you have a free mind, though.
Well, Brent says you should hand out honorary badges for donations.
That's a freaking cool idea,
That's
actually.
a good idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I have been doing some fundraising, and by the way, if anybody wants to donate to my campaign, it's www.weir, the number 4, liberty.org. Um, and you can just hit donate, and it'll send me some money
Oh,
for
there we go.
every dollar is going straight to the campaign. I'm not, obviously I can't like take any personal profit out of this. It's going to door hangers and literature to get the message out, business cards and signs to post all over the entire county. Which, if you guys don't know, Merrimack County is one of the biggest counties in New Hampshire. It has the capital city of Concord in it. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done here. So um, I got to get a lot of signs. There's a lot of ground to cover. So
Awesome. Well, let's see, where was I going to go? Oh, I do actually have that link in the description below, guys. So if you don't see the link, just hit refresh. The link will come right up, and that way you can make a donation to Ben's campaign to help him become sheriff. All right. Anything else to say on your campaign or policing in general?
well, I mean, yeah, just like if you live in Merrimack County, vote for me, and if you don't, consider dropping like $5 or $10 towards my campaign, because it all helps. You know what I mean? Like, one sign is, it costs like $5 to $10 to even just get one sign printed up and made. So, I'm doing this all out of my own, free will and interests. I don't really have, I'm not trying to out there get like, $1 million in my campaign or anything like that. But, if I could get every once in a while, some little bit of money to help me out, that helps me a lot. So I appreciate all of it. So.
Awesome. And Dragon Water says you should also do a fundraiser with badge-shaped cupcakes and cookies. It's always about the food. Always
They
about
wouldn't make it past my front door.
the food. Well, I wanna before we wrap up, I want to talk about the emo caucus. You are the
Yeah.
founder of the Libertarian Party emo caucus. Can you tell me how this came about?
Well, I was at like the Reno convention. I mean, okay, so long story short, I've been a musician my entire life. Um, I started playing music when I was, very young, like 11. Grew up, started a couple bands. And then when I got out of the army, I started like a pop punk band, which transitioned into another band, which was like just like straight emo music. This is like what I loved. It's what I like listened to all through high school and since then. Um, you know, Basically just straight punk rock or emo music is all I listen to. So, um, fast forward to today, my last band, we were very lucky. We were able to tour coast to coast, play big festivals like at Warped Tour, with bands like Korn, Stone Sour, A Day to Remember, really, really big rock acts, and it is a great time. Um, and I still write music to this day. I have music on the back burner I'm wanting to release, but it has to wait till a less busy time in my life. Um, get to fast forward to the Reno convention this last February, or wait, was it February?
March.
When
No,
was the
May,
Reno?
May,
March.
May, May. Yeah.
May.
March
Okay.
was the state convention. May was Reno. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So it was in May. I'm like, dang, there's so many caucuses here. Like, there's a sober caucus and like a pro-life caucus and the Mises caucus, the Veterans caucus is like
Pro wrestling
they list
caucus.
pro
Waffle.
wrestling caucus and like
That's one of the best
what
caucuses.
the Waffle House
The
caucus. Yeah,
Waffle
yeah.
House caucus.
Like, man, I need a place to get all the emos around. So I was like, I messaged my buddy Otto, who's he heads up the
Punk rock
punk rock.
libertarians.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does punk rock libertarians podcast, and like I was like, hey dude, do you think this would be a good idea? He's like, let's do it. So, you know, um, still like sub 200 members, but it literally just started, and I haven't had time to even like invite people to the page. People are just finding it. I'm sharing it around here and there. Um, but it's been really cool. Like every day there's people sharing music, and there's not really a whole lot of like actual politics involved at all,
No.
which is like kind of um, a good thing. I think that people should be able to like share music and ideas. Libertarianism doesn't necessarily just have to be about the political stuff. We can have fun, talk about music and things we care about too. And I wanted another avenue for people of every different side and opinion to all get together and just remember that we don't always have to be hostile or pulling each other's hair all the time, So, but it's been great. A lot of good emos in there, and hey, and we have Karen Ann Harlos joined, and Josh Smith. So we have like half of the top four of the LNC right now. So just saying, I'm just waiting for Todd, the treasurer, and for Angela to join, and then like the emo caucus basically runs the LNC. So
I love it. And so they're asking, is it possible to be in multiple caucuses? Yes, it is. You can join as many caucuses as you want. It's just basically like, basically in most caucuses in the Libertarian Party just amount to like being a member of a Facebook group. And like, that's pretty much the only requirement. And some caucuses do the political stuff within the party and some caucuses just do like social stuff. But I love this caucus because I got to tell you, like, I've obviously look at me. Obviously, like I love emo music and I have my entire life. And it's just always been the thing that I really liked. But I was always a little bit embarrassed by it and I never really talked about it. And when people ask me what kind of music I like, I kind of would like gloss over it because like everyone always liked different types of music than I did. And I was like, oh, I don't even care. I don't want to look like a stupid teenager liking the stupid pop punk. There we go. I always felt really silly. And then in the emo caucus like Facebook group, I felt like I found my people and I could talk about the music I wanted to and like listen to other music that people have. And so
it's so funny.
It was personally validating.
Because like you think that like it's something like people hide about, but like I'm telling you, you go to like an emo show or a pop punk show, like sure there's gonna be like little kids in the front. The vast majority are like 30 and 40-year-old adults reliving their teenage years.
True.
Like totally. Like you go to a New Found Glory concert, like it's all like 30, 40-year-old dudes and their wives and kids, obviously. But yeah, I love music. It's something I'm very passionate about. I love making music and listening to music and going to concerts. And I actually got some breaking news here, kind of. So I am going to be having the first official Libertarian Party Emo Caucus event to ever happen.
Really?
Here in the lovely state of New Hampshire. And basically, I'm planning to do like an emo night mixed with emo karaoke.
Oh God!
And it's going to be a really good time. So details will come soon, but I highly expect at least like a Blink-182 or a Taking Back Sunday song out of you.
No, 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 no. I don't do karaoke. You have to have it has to be New Year's Eve, and I have to have at least 5 tequila shots and not and so I don't remember anything about it the next day. That's the only time I'll do karaoke.
Okay, well, you can at least come watch everyone else do
I
karaoke.
will watch everyone and sing along in the crowd, but I don't like singing. I get very self-conscious. So what is your favorite concert that you've ever been to?
It was probably like the first Warp Tour that I ever went to, which was in 2005. It was like big bands like Under Oath, The Offspring. Um, I got to see like Matchbook Romance, Billy Idol, and then
Oh my god, I would love to see
yeah,
Billy Idol actually.
my favorite band of all time is MXPX. They're like like a punk band, and I got them like tattooed on my calf. Freaking obsessed with them since I was like 6 years old. Obsessed with them. Best show I've ever seen them play, and it was like in their prime. And then like after that, like My Chemical Romance closed out the day. It was definitely good. I'm not gonna say anything bad about My Chemical Romance. I'll just say that like that concert was not like my favorite initial My Chemical Romance experience. So they're still very young back in 2005.
Yes, yes.
So,
My favorite one was it was 30 Seconds to Mars, like before a lot of people knew who they were, and they were actually opening for Chevelle and like another band that I forget, but it was in this little club in Northampton, Massachusetts, and because they were opening for these guys and no one really knew who they were, there were like less than like 100 people there when I saw them, and I had recently started getting into them, and because my then boyfriend had introduced me to them. And I love their first album. Their first album to this day is still like one of my favorite albums of all time. And I got to see them like with less than 100 people in the room. And that was
nice.
actually really cool.
Nice. And what do you think about Jared Leto's career in acting?
It's hit or miss, isn't it? I think he has some amazing roles, and I think that he has some that I'm not sure that that was the very best decision that you've
Like
ever made.
Suicide Squad?
I mean, he could have been amazing in that role, but that movie was just such dog shit that it was just like it was impossible
Yeah.
for like I think anyone to be good in that movie. But
Yeah.
I think he could have been so much better. But that movie was just we were like talking about this in my locals the other day. That movie was awful. That movie was a
I just
mistake.
watched House of Gucci
Oh
with Lady
God, that was
Gaga.
also a mistake for him. I think I didn't think he was good at that.
To be honest with you, like I didn't think he was like the worst. That was his worst acting thing. Like, uh, just like for me, I'm not a huge fan of Keanu Reeves. I think the
Mm-hmm.
only really good thing he's done was outside of like The Matrix was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of those two movies, like count me out with this dude. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto's like I don't think he's a good actor, but like at least that in House of Gucci, like he played like a dumb character, and like I kind of think Jared Leto's dumb in general, so it kind of worked for me. I thought it was kind of funny.
I mean, he may be dumb. I don't have an opinion on necessarily his intelligence, but he was amazing in Dallas Buyers Club. I'm sorry. He was amazing in Dallas Buyers Club. He was
I
so
wish
good
he
in it.
stayed. I wish he stayed Jared Leto from The Kill, 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yes, that video is amazing. That video is so good. I actually have 30 Seconds to Mars tattooed on my wrist too.
Oh,
So
sweet.
yeah. But no, I mean in concert, like 30 Seconds to Mars is amazing. Like I've seen them several times, and I like everything from that show where like I saw them with like 100 other people. I saw them like with this at another dollar show in Burlington, Vermont, and the smaller clubs there. And then several years ago they were doing like a big arena thing in Massachusetts, and I took my husband and made him come with me to see that. And so I've seen them on literally every different type of venue, and they much better when they were in smaller venues and it was more intimate. But just a really 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 good show, I think.
That's awesome. Like concerts are a good time. I'm actually, yeah, there's so many concerts I'm trying to go to, even here in New Hampshire. Like, there's
Hmm.
not a lot of my favorite bands that come all the way up here. Most of them just get to Mass and then they just start making their way back south, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Um, but there are some good ones coming. I know Rise Against and The Used are coming. That'll
I
be
want to
pretty
go to
cool.
that one. I want to go to that one really
I
bad,
love The
actually.
Used. The Used is awesome. So
Yeah. I love both of them. I think Rise Against has some really good songs as well. And I've never seen either of them. So that'd be
Last
fun.
time I was at a Rise Against show, they were just basically like preachers of PETA, and they're like,
Really?
everyone needs to stop eating meat. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
god.
can you guys just get back to the music?
Oh my god. It's
But
so sad like to see some of these bands like Rage Against the Machine or even like the Offspring. The Offspring kicked their drummer out for not getting the vaccine. It's like, dude, do you guys like remember where you came from? You used to be like a legitimate like punk band back in the day.
I'm keeping this like book idea in my back pocket. I really want to do it eventually, but it's just it'd be called "All My Favorite Punk Bands Are Statists" because it's true. Like Anti-Flag or Rage Against the Machine, like they played at the Democratic National Convention.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you guys doing? Like, no effects. Like the bands that I grew up becoming an anarchist to, they're all bootlicking losers. Like I hate it. I hate it, hate it. I still love their music, but like they're so statist. They are so partisan, and it's so crazy how much it shows when they're like their team is winning or their team is losing. It's just so obvious. I didn't see it when I was 15, 16. I see it totally now. It's out in the open.
I mean, do you wonder did they change or were they always that way and they were just they were hiding it better?
Ah, man, that's a good question because I feel like the Bush years definitely radicalized a lot of people, especially with like war. Um, and then when Obama was in office, there was other issues going on, but you didn't hear the anti-war punk rock as much during the Obama years when Obama got us into like a bunch of different wars. Like, he's like a war hawk, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a lot of speaking up. You had like even Noam Chomsky, like one of the a big anarchist philosopher. He fell off a bit too recently. So the only good ones left are like Michael Malice.
Oh god, I love Michael Malice so much.
Me too.
Oh. Well, Ben, we've been going for a little over an hour now, and want to start wrapping things up. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we conclude?
No, I'd say if anyone out there is interested or passionate about liberty, they should be considering moving to New Hampshire at some point in their life, but sooner rather than later, because um, we need the help for the fight now. And, you don't know what is coming up in the future. You might not be able to get here in 5 years. So try to get here and move here as quick as you can. Help us out. Move to Merrimack Valley. So that you can be part of MVLP and let's get active. Let's show the world libertarian ideas and prove to them that we have the right solutions. And then the only thing I would say is like on the sheriff campaign, if you are interested in donating to the campaign, definitely go check out the website and throw me $5 or something, or 100 or 5,000. Don't throw me 5,000. That's way too much money. I don't even think my whole campaign's going to get
You can't get more than you can't give that as a single donation to a campaign anyway. So don't break any
There you
campaign
go.
violence laws.
Okay, yeah. So like,
But 100 is definitely doable.
don't kill your wallets, but help me out. So
Cool. I mean, Dennis always tells people like, once you move here, you'll wish you would move sooner. Is that the case for you?
definitely. Like the thing is that if I hadn't moved to California first, I wouldn't have been able to get here as quickly even as I did, I think, because the work I did out there kind of helped facilitate me my ability to like afford a house here and get here and do the move.
Mm-hmm.
But like this is always part of the plan, and I'm here now, and I'm never leaving. No matter what happens, I'm here to fight for freedom. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Ben, for joining me today. I'm going to pull you off the screen. I'm going to chill for a second, and then I'll be right back with you in a second after I end the broadcast. Thank you so much again for coming on the channel today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that was Ben Weir. I hope you enjoyed our chat today. Again, if you want to visit his website and give him a donation, head over to, Weir for Liberty, WEIR, the number for liberty.org. And that should be in the description below. And you can come up and give Ben a donation to help him get elected sheriff, which I think would be pretty great. Just as a reminder, this is not the last thing we'll be doing on the channel today because I've got some time to make up for. I had a whole week of a strike, and there's content that I promised last week that I'm sorry that I wasn't able to deliver. But I will be premiering part 2 of my reaction to Lauren Southern's video tonight on this channel at 9 p.m. That's part 2, and then part 3 will be coming at you tomorrow, probably at 8 or 9 o'clock, just depending on how the day goes. But I promise you that will be premiered tomorrow as well. Of course, if you're a member of my locals community, you already had access to it because when I got my YouTube strike, I uploaded part 2 and 3 in my locals community and premiered them there. But we're going to do our YouTube premiere as well because why the heck not? So you can come back to the channel at 9 p.m. and watch this and chat it up. And of course, if you would like to support the work I'm doing, you can become a member in my locals community for $5 a month or more if you want to. You can also sign up for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift. I've got lots of amazing things coming up for my locals. We're going to be relaunching our Unwoke Army, which is a decentralized initiative to fight back against woke insanity. So that's going to be coming up very soon. And we, of course, have 2 community Zoom calls every single week. We are a real, true community. We support each other. We help each other. And I hope you'll come join us because really they help me keep my sanity. And I'm very, very appreciative. And last thing before we go, I do have another live stream coming up on the channel tomorrow in the Libertarian Matters series. The Libertarian Matters series is a chats with libertarians. So some of you like libertarian stuff, some of you don't. And this is a way that we will be able to clearly enumerate what is libertarian stuff and what is not. But I've got a great guest coming on tomorrow. Dave Benner is one of the people that is currently running the Libertarian Party national Twitter account. The Twitter account is fire. If you are not following the National Libertarian Party on Twitter right now, you are missing out. They have taken what was an awful account that used to tweet out woke things like Black Lives Matter and things about mass and things like that we do not approve of. Since the party has been taken over, the account has gotten a complete revamp, and Dave is one of the people behind the revamp, and we are going to be talking about that tomorrow at 5:30. Not 5 o'clock like usual, but at 5:30. This is to accommodate his schedule. So we're starting just a little bit late. So I do hope to see you on the channel tomorrow for that. Again, please mount that like button on the way out the door if you enjoyed today's chat. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And that's all I've got for right now, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Take care, and we'll see you soon.